You've got exclusive tape. I'm getting out the way. What do we need to know?
Well, let's start with Matt Eberflus, and I don't know if you guys have been able to turn the page, but I have not been able to turn the page. But actually, if you guys want to start with that, let's start with that. Let's start with the stuff inside of the locker room today. And, of course, it is all about what happened this past week in D.C. with the blown coverage on the Hail Mary, and then several players, many of whom were on the score, critiquing their head coach and talking about what has gone down with the team over the last several days or so. So let's start then with inside the locker room with just a few of us that were with Jaylon Johnson on expressing concerns to the coaches and how that's going.
I mean, it really just starts with being open to listen, first and foremost, and then really just at the end of the day, just really taking heed to what we're saying, allowing them to trust us in what we're saying, to believe us, to make changes. But, I mean, ultimately it's up to them to make the changes or to take what we're saying.
Do you think this will change the team for the better?
What will change the team for the better?
Just everything that has happened with the meetings that you guys have had, with you guys being outspoken about practices. Cole Kmet specifically talked about respecting the game, and he said, like, leading up to this week there were some issues in practice as well. So will this straighten things like that out?
No, nothing that has been said hasn't been said. I mean, we've been talking about improving. We've been talking about doing things better the right way. I mean, at the end of the day, something like that just exposes certain things. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it wasn't nothing new that was said. It was just things that we keep reiterating that, of course, bit us in the ass.
All right, so let's pause right there for a second. That's a good question and an important point, Grote, that everything that's been said, according to Jaylon Johnson, has already been said privately. It's important to note. All right, let's pick it up.
Articulate where you're at this week with this game and understanding what the stakes are for this team.
Well, me personally, the team.
Yeah, for the team and for you individually, just making sure that this thing gets.
I mean, we're not at a point to where we can let games like that go. But I mean, it can easily go from. It could have went from 5-2, or could have went to 5-2, and now we're in a position at 4-3, or fighting to stay above 500. So I mean, like I said, nothing really is solidified. Nothing. There's always a sense of urgency. I mean, you can win 3 in a row, you can lose 3 in a row. So I mean, it's never. Every week is different. Every situation is not to be taken lightly. So I mean, just for me, for the team, I mean, every week is a great opportunity to win, and we can't let them slip through our hands.
So what do you need to see these next 4 days and on Sunday for you to feel like you guys have cleared the bar that you set?
We got to win. But I mean, we can do things Monday through Saturday, and it all feels good going to the game. We lose, and quite honestly, it don't mean shit to me. I mean, we're here for wins and losses, not just doing things the right way. I mean, hopefully doing things the right way gets us those wins, but I mean, ultimately it's about winning and losing.
What do you think about the heat that's been on your head coach, Matt Eberflus?
I don't know what heat you're talking about.
Just in terms of critiques of him, second to last play of the game, maybe not calling a timeout for the last play. There has been a lot of people talking about Matt Eberflus and his decisions.
That don't got nothing to do with me, honestly. I mean, that's something he got to deal with, and I mean, that comes with it. I mean, I'm sure Tariq got the same criticism. I mean, if you're somebody in this high spotlight situation like that, you're going to be critiqued. So, I mean, I don't think nothing of it.
So 100% support from you guys in the locker room for your head coach.
Yeah, that's our head coach.
We asked him.
All right, hold on. Pause right there, please.
You guys believe.
So there's a way of talking about the head coach like an equal. Like, Tariq deals with stuff. I guess coach has to deal with stuff. And then so 100% support you ask for Mark Grote, and he says, yep, he's our head coach.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really sound particularly convincing to me, and I don't want to read into his words because there wasn't a follow-up after that. But, I mean, it just kind of just seeing him, watching him go through all of that, it just didn't seem like the greatest endorsement in the world. So, but again,
pause was 8.5 months pregnant.
Quintuplets. I think it quintuplets, it looks like, from the outside. Oh, my goodness. All right, let's finish up with Jaylon before we keep going.
So how does he retain your belief?
How does he retain our belief?
As your head coach, like, how do you stay believing in him going forward?
How do we stay believing in him? I mean, I feel like that's quite honestly part of the job, you would think. I mean, shit, as long as somebody's your head coach, I mean, same thing with, in a sense, the quarterback situation when everybody asks, are you behind Justin? When he's our quarterback, he's who we're going with. I mean, so at the end of the day, whoever's in that position, whoever is in our locker room, whoever our coaches are, I mean, that's who we believe in. That's who we trust to lead us to the championship at the end of the day.
You said on Monday that you feel like you guys could have benefited from a timeout.
100%.
What do you think the greatest benefit of that moment would have been to just settle things down and get realigned?
Yeah, I mean, just really settle the moment down. My biggest thing is, I'm sure if we're in the finals, we got one more shot or one more possession, you're going to call, in a sense, a timeout to make sure the player's drawn up correctly. We're going to set this pick this way. I mean, get your guys in the best position to succeed. I mean, at the end of the day, that doesn't necessarily change the result, but it changes, I would say, your mentality going into that place. So, I mean, no different for us. Going in, getting a timeout, settling us down, making sure we're getting reminders of what we're doing, who's going to do what, and then go out there and try to execute.
How would you describe Tariq this week? Did the leaders have like a message for him as well?
Nah, there's no message. At the end of the day, like I've been saying, there's not too much for us to say. I mean, the stakes are at the highest that it could have been, and he knows what came with it. So, I mean, there's nothing for us to say. At the end of the day, he feels already in a terrible position, so it's not too much to say. He just got to come out here. Well, we do have a lot to say. We got to build him up. Because, I mean, he's still going to play, and at the end of the day, we got to continue to get him in the right direction and then bring him along so we can win these games.
So Jaylon feeling very supportive of Tariq. That's someone who's in his room. They feel like they have to love him up, coach him up, work with him, all of those things. I do like, if you're a Bears fan, you should like the fact that there is a level of urgency from players. We got to win. How can we fix this? We got to win. We're not good enough to give games like that away. I love hearing that from Jaylon Johnson.
Yeah, and I will tell you guys, too, that throughout the whole thing, it may be detectable and may not be. He was kind of irritated throughout the whole interview. Like, I don't know if he wanted to talk today, but as he is, he's so affable in terms of talking to us that he did, and then just gave the usual great answers. But there was an edge. There was an edge to Jaylon Johnson today that I haven't seen in a while.
There's an edge. There's the acknowledgement that whoever our coach is who we trust and who we go with. That's part of the job. That's
right.
Quite something, man. And then that pause has been to the obstetrician like 6 times. I mean, my goodness.
I was like, I'm glad you guys have reacted like that because that's what I got out of it. I was talking to some of the other reporters, like, did we all hear the same thing there? So it sounds like you guys heard the exact same thing from Jaylon Johnson right there. Let me move on now to
that pause had an epidural. I mean, sweet Jesus. All right, I'm done.
I sometimes I take the pauses out, sometimes I don't.
Glad you left it in.
That was one of those times where I thought that it needed to stay in. Kevin Byard, another safety or another captain of the Bears. He's also a safety, and he's feeling a little bit differently about everything today as opposed to the other day when he spoke to the media. Here's Kevin Byard.
Obviously at the Monday, and that was just really after the game, I think everybody were pretty emotional. You know what I mean? Coach included, myself, all the players. Yeah. And obviously things were said, conversations were had, and I think we all kind of got, after that, we all got like interviews and podcasts and kind of do all those things. And, I feel like we all kind of voiced our opinions and voiced what was on our heart. We kind of wore our hearts on the sleeves or whatever. And just for myself personally, I can only speak for myself, but I've always been a big believer of like keeping family business. And I don't think I displayed that by, I'm going to voice my opinions and things like that. But I started my interview with the team and just said that, hey, we had a conversation and I said this. I don't think I should have did it. You know what I mean? I don't regret it because I still have those opinions, but I just feel like that a personal conversation I had with a coach shouldn't be shared out. You know what I mean? Because I feel like it should be, in-house. But, the meetings went well. To answer your first part of the question.
We asked him how he retains the belief of players. He said, ask you guys. So how does he retain your belief going forward?
Yeah, I still think Flus is a hell of a coach. You know what I mean? I think that obviously one play that was the biggest play in the game, obviously. I don't think that, if we play 72 plays on defense, and if, let's say, for example, he called 4 or 5 bad plays, you know what I mean, and he called the rest of them great, doesn't make him a terrible coach, like that. So I still believe in him as a coach. I believe in him as a man, you know what I mean? And I respect the fact that he lets us voice our opinions in these meetings and things like that. Because I've been on, another team where that may not have happened, and he's opened up for not necessarily just criticism, but just open feedback from players. So still respect him, and the players still believe in him. Because like I said, we still have a lot to play for, and we still feel like as a team and as players that we're a great team, and we're still going to be where we need to be at the end of this thing.
And understanding the spirit of what you said about kind of regretting being so open with us, maybe.
Well, no, I don't regret.
Okay.
I don't regret. I just looking back at it. Like I said, not getting the emotions of obviously right after the game. I think we all were, because that was an unbelievable thing that happened. Looking back at it as a man, like I said, I feel like I would have handled it differently, but I don't regret how I felt about it. Mm-hmm. But I wish that I would just kept family business.
So if we ask you questions about that, that's something that you're going to be more hesitant to respond to, like specific things like we were asking about the second to the last play,
right.
Things like that. I guess that, and did Matt Eberflus agree with you too? Like, was he kind of put off by the fact that you shared with us that?
No, I don't think it was put off or not like that. I was just saying that, like I said, I just think that the way I worded it by saying, me and Flus, we had a conversation and I felt this. I don't think I should have did that. If I just felt that way, I should say I felt that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I said, I just think that anytime you're having a personal conversation with a teammate, coach, even a media member or whatever, if it's personal, I don't think that should just be aired out. You know what I mean? It's just like if I got an issue with my family member, I don't go on social media and just put them out there. I just think that that's, it's kind of, I'm going to say childish, but like you said, I feel like just the emotions of everything that happened, within that 24 hours. Now that I'm completely flushed it, I'm just looking back at it like, yeah, I probably would have handled it different.
You guys put such emphasis on discipline. This hit system really holds everybody accountable.
Right.
All right, hold it right there, Robbie, because I hear Pat Finley moving on to a different subject. Lawrence, that sounds to both of us like Kevin Byard was among some people told to talk less.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they got their hands slapped by the coach and the general manager, because I'm seeing some of the quotes from DJ Moore too, and it feels. That's why I didn't like the concept of the walkthrough, and I know that they got a whole bunch of injuries, and that's probably the reason that they had a walkthrough. But the walkthrough that no one could see kind of felt like an all-team meeting to me.
And Kevin Byard is an OG and a guy who's now trying to voice the new normal, is what it sounds like, Grote. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I agree with you guys. I think that I think that they probably all agreed that this is the kind of stuff that should not be aired publicly. And to Lawrence's point, in a little bit, we will hear from DJ Moore specifically about that in the Doug Kramer play. So we will get to DJ Moore as well. But it definitely sounds. I will say this: Byard, and if we're gonna point out that Jaylon Johnson didn't give a great endorsement, I thought that Kevin Byard did give a pretty good endorsement.
Agreed.
Of Matt Eberflus.
He
as
still
the Bears
stood
head
on
coach.
business though, and I appreciate that about him. That he was basically like, look,
I believe it.
I wasn't wrong about what I said.
I didn't have to tell you that I
That's
said
true.
what I said.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, so it's interesting distinction. All right, here's a little more. Pat Finley's in the middle of asking about the discipline supposedly they have.
Thing that obviously needs to be held accountable. Do you need to hear Matt say that publicly, or do you just need to hear it in your room? How does that fly when he told us he's like, I'm not going to tell you whether I'm going to start him or not?
Yeah. For me, doesn't really matter if he does it publicly or anything like that. How him or Ryan or anybody deals with discipline when it comes to players, that's between them and the players. I feel like us as leaders, like I've spoken to Reek. Obviously, I'm not going to air that conversation out, but I'm just saying, like we all talk to him, and I said this in the media before, like I'm going to love on him just like I did before the game. Like everybody has their own growth path that they're taking, and I think he's on the right track. At the end of the day, it happened. And like I said, we're just moving past it at this point.
Are you satisfied that it's been handled?
Am I satisfied? It's not really as if I don't know if it really matters if I'm satisfied or not. At the end of the day, if Reek is back out there on Sunday starting, I'm not going to feel a way about it. If he's not out there starting, I'm not going to feel a way about it, because at the end of the day, I had to play safety for the Bears, and I had to hold down my responsibilities, and I had to be accountable to things I need to be accountable to.
Oh, my God.
Another late-term pause.
We got both these guys now saying, like, I have a job to do no matter what I think, so it doesn't matter. I'm not going to feel a certain way. I mean, God, it sounded like Byard thought maybe Tariq shouldn't be starting, but he's going to be okay with whatever happens.
Yeah, well, it sounds to me like, and this is just a guess on things that I'm hearing out here and stuff that anybody can watch and see, but what I've been inferring is that they're not going to, if there is discipline, maybe it'll be a ceremonial, miss the first series or something
you're not starting, and that goes in your record.
You miss a game. You miss a game
you didn't
started.
get a start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. One other guy I want you guys to hear from in the locker room is Tremaine Edmunds. Now, Tremaine Edmunds has always been sort of he's a rah-rah guy. He speaks in a lot of sports cliches. He reminds me of Danny Trevathan, very upbeat, very positive guy, but I thought he was very interesting today as well when he was, and we start with him being asked if he has spoken to Tariq Stevenson about everything.
Have you talked to Tariq about all this?
Like I said, man, we all been going through things, not just one player. We all been talking as a team. But I think right now the focus is on Arizona.
The word accountability has come up a lot the last couple of days. As players, do you need to see the coaching staff hold players accountable, whether it's Tariq, whether it's something else, in order to respect them as coaches?
The word accountability is for whoever, you know what I mean? You can stick that on, you know what I mean, whoever you want to stick it on. But as far as accountability, that's just for whoever, you know what I mean? That's just in the sport that we play. That's just being a professional, you know what I mean? Even if you talk outside of football, that's being a professional, being accountable to what you got to do as far as just showing up every day, you know what I mean? It's not just on one person. It's not just on one thing. Accountability just goes for everything, on and off the field.
Do you see Flus taking accountability for his coaching decisions?
Like I said, accountability goes for everybody. It's not about pinpointing one person or not, but, accountability goes for everybody.
They talk about the coach like he's an equal, and that is a nod to the kind of modern locker room that we were talking about earlier with Pat Manley. It's an interesting thing. Like, he's got to be accountable. I got to be accountable. He's got to face heat. I got to face heat. That kind of thing. But my goodness, this sounds like this is an interesting moment for this group, who's clearly been told not to say some of the stuff they've said.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that what we're seeing will allow them to grow, but with each day, it seems like there's a lot more doubt that's creeping in to my head than there was on Monday.
Feels like a step further towards disconnect from your head coach.
Yeah, like these are the things that I'm worried about. And again, my point of view is colored by stuff that I saw as a reporter, and that's what it feels like. Now, maybe it is different because times are different, but this is not great. Like, I'll just say that. Like, this is not great. Other than, like, for us. Like, for us, it's phenomenal.
Well, I described it yesterday as mid-chaos, pre-mutiny, I
mean, I had an NFL reporter say on the brink of mutiny.
Yeah, so we're still pre-mutiny.
You have DJ Moore now. Lawrence mentioned it before the break about the Doug Kramer play, the fumble at the goal line, and DJ Moore is the regular guest on the Mully and Haugh show, and he kind of questioned the timing of that particular play, and here's DJ Moore discussing that today with the media.
I mean, we all talked about it, and me and Flus talked about it with the captains, and just got to stay in house next time. I'm not going to say sorry for what I said, but at the same time, it should have just stayed in house. But I said what I said.
Is that kind of the meeting? Is that when you guys had that captain's meeting with Flus? Was that something he tried to express, keeping stuff in house?
Yeah, and going forward, that's probably going to be what it is. Stuff slipped, and I answered the question. Truthfully.
All right, here's the thing.
I told y'all.
Yeah, you did. Here's the big problem right now in this moment for Matt Eberflus. He's allowing the coaches to set the tone on so many things and praising them for being the adults and the communicators and the captains that they are, all 8 of them, right? And then they have clearly set what they think is okay, which is being honest and accountable about things, and he has now told them no. And how's that going to go over, Matt? That is a horrendous read of your team because you have now slapped them down and they're out here talking to the media embarrassed and dealing with whatever level of self-imposed shame or you imposed shame you're expecting them to deal with.
Or censor.
Or censor. And they're dealing with that, and you've now told them the truth is not okay. And accountability is not okay. You have met their moment, this big moment that we've talked about, you have met their moment by turtling and not being man enough to join them.
And nobody regrets saying what they said. I mean, now 2 players have made that clear. Well, Kevin Byard has a little bit of empathy for the situation. He made it very clear when I asked the question, no regrets. I don't think DJ Moore regrets it. He's going forward. He kind of said it through gritted teeth that it's going to stay in-house. And, I guess from the Bears' perspective, this is just the players rule the day gone too far, gone wild.
They don't rule the day anymore. Okay,
yeah,
Coach.
Exactly. I don't know if there's room for this cut here now that I'm about to play for you guys.
Do it.
Can I play something about football? Can I play football?
We like football.
I mean, you can, but if there's something else
right.
that you think is worth the Bears fan hearing, I want you to play
all
that.
Right. You know what? Forget the DJ Moore on his relationship with Caleb. I'm talking about on the football field.
We can get to that tomorrow.
We will. So I am going to skip around. I know the tree. My guy Robbie Triano can handle this as well. So yeah.
There's no curses in this one, right?
I know you got. You got. Did that come through?
No. You're good. Keep going.
Okay. Let's hear what Caleb Williams has to say about. Let's go back a little bit because the players rule the day thing has been going on for a while now. It was the players and Mercedes Lewis that prompted Shane Waldron to coach harder, to call guys out if you have to be the adult in the room. Then there was the scripted plays thing. Maybe we need to script plays. Now the critiques of Matt Eberflus that have been going on that we've been talking about all of this. So Caleb Williams was asked, is it okay that the players are in charge of this team?
And I kind of learned this at my other places that I've been at of college and high school and kind of just growing up and learning more about football and things like that. And the better teams that I've been on that the players lead. And that's what we have here. I think it's something that I go by myself is okay teams lead. I learned this I think 2 years ago now. Okay teams, nobody leads. Good teams, coaches lead, and then the great teams, the players lead. So, we have to find ways to be better for ourselves and things like that. There's plays in that game, where we have to execute.
Dude's a rookie. Kid is a rookie. He's a rookie. He's talking about places he's been, like, Oklahoma and USC. I mean, this is amazing.
It might be a wrap.
This is how you lose a room. Is you isolated further.
I think the room is lost.
Doesn't it sound like it? I mean, it's only a day later after yesterday, but he responded by not being accountable publicly and by telling them to shut the hell up privately. And now they go back out there and say, we've been told to be quiet, but we're going to keep leading because that's how great teams go. What else you got? He's our coach for now. That's the guy we trust because he's our coach. Yes.
By the way, I like the way this is building up because the last person we're going to hear from, I still have one more Caleb I want to play for you, but coming soon, Matt Eberflus himself. It's like a roast. And then finally, we'll get to hear from Matt Eberflus.
Don Rickles always goes last.
Tell him not to make any jokes about Puerto Rico.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't work. That does not work. So Caleb was asked, what was he thinking at the end of the game after the Bears were victimized by a Hail Mary?
Obviously, right in that moment, you're angry. You're furious that you just lost and you lost that way. It's a tough way to lose, but like I spoke about before, there's obviously a sense of accountability that I have to take. Didn't play well first half. We had stalled drives, and that goes back to throughout the week. That goes through during that game. Us not finding ways to put ourselves in position to be able to score, get 3 points, to keep multiple 3 points like they did. On the other side, they got multiple 3 points that allowed them to put themselves in a position to be able to obviously have that 30-second drive and throw a Hail Mary. And so if we keep putting points on the board, if we keep doing our job. If I keep doing my job to the best of my ability, finding ways to get points and things like that, protect the football, we win a lot of games, especially with the defense that we have, where, this explosive offense that we just played, been putting up 30, 40, how many ever points, and, we hold them to 12, and we can't go out there and execute throughout the whole game to be able to play complementary football enough. And so I got to do a better job. Us leaders have to do a better job leading throughout the week and being, on the details.
Okay, so that is accountability.
Yeah, I agree, because he's right. Because if they put up points and played like a competent offense in the first half, they wouldn't need that stuff at the end.
Or the back end of what he said, saying, look, during the week,
yeah,
I've got to be better. The leaders of this team have to be better. So
yeah,
that's good.
And he did admit, Caleb Williams, the stuff that you guys can play tomorrow, Caleb Williams did admit that, he had a rough 3 quarters of the game, and he was not happy with the way he started the game. And obviously the first series was awful for everybody. So, yeah, in the self-evaluation, Caleb Williams obviously liked the way, things ended for the offense and, on the field. But the first 3 quarters were not good. And that does